are you doing it? From time to time and era to era. So we don't have any more camels or gold, silver currency, but taxation system has to be there nonetheless. Yes. So that's why the Quran leaves it ambiguous, and for us to fill in the detail within our existential sort of capacity as to what we need to govern the state. Similarly, Imam Baqir Salamullah alayh extended khums to gold and silver, and people, there was an outcry. He said, I only need it for a year because I have to see to the demand of a growing community. And he said, I have forgiven what Ali ibn Abi Talib forgave you anyway of our own share, but I'm increasing this share because there's a demand in the community. So that's how Quran is ambiguous, and its laws and muamalat are all in a state of flux with the growth of the human community. Similarly, this the Adam of Ihtiram, or the kufr of the non-Shia, of course this is Sheikh Ansari's Makasib, and obviously you both know this well. He says, ثم إن ظاهر الأخبار اختصاص حرمة الغيبة بالمؤمن in Kitabul in Kitabul Makasib. He's talking about the hurma of ghiba. I think it's after ghina. And I'm going to share the ghina article with you. These are articles that are unpublished, so you can just see them if you don't mind, but don't share them. And whatever is on my website, they are the ones that are to be viewed by the public, but others are in the process of being edited and being published. Some are written for universities that I will send to you maybe on Friday, Saturday. The reconciliation of Hukm al-Bahiri with Hukm al-Waqi'i from the traditional scope and from the existential perspective. I've just written this article last year. It's getting edited now. So, فَيَجُوز اِخْتِيَابُ الْمُخَالِفِ كَمَا يَجُوز لَعْنُهُ. Yes? This is what Sheikh Ansari is saying. So Sheikh Ansari is saying, the اختصاص حرمة الغيبة بالمؤمن only. فَيَجُوز اِخْتِيَابُ الْمُخَالِفِ كَمَا يَجُوز لَعْنُهُ. Then he adds on, وتوهم عموم الآية كبعض الرواية لمطلق المسلم مدفوع. This is مدفوع. They don't have غرمة basically. بما علم بالضرورة المذهب من عدم احترام المخالف. Yes. وعدم جريان أحكام الإسلام عليهم إلا قليلا بما يتوقف استقامة نظم معاش المؤمنين عليه مثل عدم الانفعال ما يلاقيهم بالرطوبة. So with the Sunni there is no infial, so there is no najasa, because this is istiqam of hayat with them, nizam. وحل ذبائحهم ومناكحهم ومناكحتهم. So we can eat their dhabiha, we can marry their women. وحرمة دمائهم لحكم دفع الفتنة. And their dima are haram for us in order to just repel fitna, that's all. وَنِسَائِهِمْ hurmatu nisa'ihim, yes, to just do daf of fitna. Otherwise there is no hurma for their nisa either. لأن لكل قوم نكاحا ونحن ونحو ذلك مع أن التمثيل المذكور في الآية مختص بمن ثبت أخوته. Anyway, that's the next, it's continuing there. But kindly just refer to that section of Sheikh Ansari Makasib, yes? And this has been the Shia sort of outlook by and large. Not of all of them, but of the fuhul amongst the Shia. Sheikh Muhammad, what I was saying is, if we can, because I keep on forgetting what we've talked about and then we need to go back. So if we can now read just chunk by chunk, so if there are several chunks in one particular caption, if we can just space it out, we can just read a little bit, and maybe I can offer an understanding of it from my perspective, and then we can read the other bit and I can just give you my perspective on it, yes? Sorry about that. And thank you so much.
No, no problem. Okay, so we're on 16 now.
Yes.
What we are talking about, our future models that need to be established or are in the making. But what does anybody do immediately? So I was asked a question of the Hindu food, yes? Consumption of Hindu food.
So the models here, we're talking about the models of ijtihad. That was the conversation. The models of ijtihad. I assume this is taken from the 2 lectures that I gave on ijtihad and taqlid in Canada, and they are both on YouTube, both of an hour long, in which I was talking about the existential model of ijtihad, in which I'm talking about the competency and incompetency that marks the level of need to the other. So just to put us into perspective, carry on, we can carry on now.
Okay, Sheikh, actually, you said that you will send us all your articles. That's wonderful, alhamdulillah. That would be a great help.
So I'll send you the articles that are related to these questions only, if that's okay for now.
Yes,
and,
yes,
and,
please,
and a
please.
few more, okay, that are pertinent to the issue. Is that okay?
Excellent, yeah.
So,
yeah.
the Hindu food article
and
is
also-
there. Shall I send that? No, not the Hindu food. The najasa of the ghair Muslimin is already. I've already done it.
Yes, please. Yeah, that'd be really great.
So shall we
Yes.
skip? Shall we then just avoid number 16?
No. Just in case I forget afterwards to mention.
Okay.
But I want you to request if you could also send the links of these lectures. You know, the main thing, like when you are putting it into context,
Okay.
it really helps, right?
Wonderful.
We need to listen to the whole lecture.
Okay.
So that'd be great. Yeah.
But Sheikh, can I just say something, my dear brother?
Yeah.
Please don't be offended at this, yes? Look, the
Yeah.
person who's taken these captions has done it with malicious intent. I know, you know that, right? And the World Federation are trying to nail me on any frail thing that they can get, yes? Yes? ماذا أراد الله بهذا مثلا يضل به كثيرا ويهدي به كثيرا وما يضل به إلا الفاسقين. Yes?
No, but this.
So I'm just saying.
I'm
I'm just saying. Look, you are my two brothers, but you have not come here of your own accord. You are representing the World Federation, as I was told, regional bodies. But I was never shown any communication from the regional body. What was the communication? Yes. Why? Who is? I requested this, and I was indeed. I would have just said, look, I don't mind. Just ban me. I don't really care. It doesn't really matter. But it was from the tibun nafs and respect, right? Respect, because for Sheikh Alidina, because they said he's coming, and I respect my brother. And then of course, then I saw you there and I respect you as well as much, yes? So for respect for both of you. So this is from tibun nafs from me. Otherwise, look, the World Federation can ban me. Every federation can ban me, yes? It doesn't make any difference to me. We are going to stand in front of Allah. This chest I'm going to tear apart in front of Allah before He tears it apart. Of course, I'm going to ask Him to forgive me, yes, in that humility. But I stand before God. World Federation doesn't mean much to me. Yes, the Qom and Najaf and the whole of Shia and Sunni doesn't mean anything to me. 7 billion Muslims don't mean anything to me. I say something in front of my Allah. I will stand in front of Allah and my messenger and I will respond to them. Federation doesn't mean anything to me. You gentlemen have come here not on your own accord. You've been sent here on behalf of somebody, yes? Their intentions are very clear from these transcriptions that somebody, Arif Bata exposes, Muhammad Walji of Leicester. I want to talk very openly. I'm not a person who conceals things in my heart. I'm not a diplomatic person. From the time you guys have known me, you've known me in this way. That I speak and I say things very clearly. I don't have anything to hide. If I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. If you guys want to ban me, please do so. I will not hold anything against anybody. But I saw from these questions that this is not something that the World Federation has heard. This is not something these people can understand either. This is not something that you can just take out and say, I want answers for it. If somebody was genuinely concerned, they would listen to the whole lecture. Yes? Bayni wa baynak wa bayn Allah. Tell me, isn't that the right thing to do? You are going to ban a person. You're going to ban a person for saying, yes, that this is Islam and this is not Islam. But you're not going to ban a person who says you can touch a 2-year-old girl's thighs, as the fatwa is saying. You're not going to ban a person, yes, who says give money to Najaf and don't ask for any accountability and the beggars are scrounging from the dustbins. You're not going to say that. You're not going to ask a person, why are you saying give 50% of khums, and that's the only form of taxation Shias have, to a Sayyid who are 10 million, 50 million, and give 50% to 190 million, and that too you have to beg them, yes? You're not going to ask these people to stop. You're not going to tell a person who goes on the pulpit and talks about marital rape as a right of a man. You're not going to go and stop a person who says, Islam is racist, which they have said, the Maulanas. You're not going to stop a person who's creating sectarian tension by cursing Abu Bakr, Umar and Uthman. Why are you not looking at what we have to say in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So it's very clear. Bayni wa baynakum wa bayna Allah. Yes? That the people's intention by doing this was only to nail me for something. I'll make it easy for the World Federation, convey it to them. Ban me. Ban me. Fine. It's done. But if you genuinely want to know for the sake of Allah, and I'm doing this from tibun nafs, because I really do feel that these things need to be understood and these things need to be propagated. Whether the Khojas allow me their pulpit or not, I ask Imam Hussein to give me his pulpit. Yes? I go to the master himself. Whether his people like me or not is up to them. They are my brothers. I pray for them and I ask Allah to put it in their hearts to pray for me. If they feel I'm wrong, then guide me. Prove me wrong and guide me. But I'm only doing this from tibun nafs, and you know this, that these things are only there, yes, to incriminate, to nail something, to find something wrong, that with which we can make a case to ban this person. I'm not scared of any of these things, yes? So now when you tell me to send you links and things like that, my dear brother, why didn't you do that homework first? Why didn't you do it yourself? When the World Federation communique came, it said that our scholars will study everything properly. Then where is that study? If when you came to me, I'm saying this with utmost humility and respect, yes? Before you came to me, had you read all of these things, instead of just reading this, had you seen all those lectures, then we would not be in this position right now, right?
Yeah, but Sheikh, you know, that communique, we are doing that now, right? That communique didn't necessarily say that we will do all of that before we meet so and so in the first meeting, right? That communique was spelling out a sort of like a broad framework. So we are doing that tabayyun right now.
So fine, so you're going to establish whether I'm worthy of sitting on your pulpits or not. Is that what this exercise is all about? I mean,
no, that's not the
seriously.
intention. I mean, we are just doing tabayyun, right? Because like you're saying, it's absolutely essential that we have everything.
So you're
in
going to take
context.
a decision that this man is not worthy of being called a Shia or a Muslim or a scholar. Is that what your intention is? What is your intention out of all of this? Please tell me, be honest, be upfront. What is your intention? I'm telling you, you want to ban me? Please go ahead. It doesn't stop me. I'm going to say what I'm going to say anyway. Nobody's going to stop me unless it becomes clear to me that my Lord does not want me to say this, or his messenger, or the wasi of the messenger, yes? Or the Imam of our time doesn't want me to say this. I've been accused by Safdar Jafar, yes, in his gatherings that has been recorded, that I don't believe in the 12th Imam. In fact, I say I have a very unique method of proving the existence of 12th Imam that I don't think any of the other Shia scholars have. Yes? And I've spoken about this from the pulpit and they're going to be transcribed. Why are these people so hell-bent on just bringing some case to disprove? And I really don't think, sorry, Sheikh, are you there?
Yes.
Can you see both of us? I don't know how wide the angle is on your side.
Is it not good?
No, on your side. Can you see both of us?
I can see both of you perfectly. Perfectly well.
Yeah.
No, because
That's
it got stuck and I thought we got disconnected. Sorry. So I'm just saying, look, I'm just saying one thing. There's a request from a brother. Yes? We will stand in front of Allah with our intention. Allah is saying in Surah Baqarah, whatever you manifest, whatever is hidden, you hasib, Allah will bring you to account for all of that. I am naked in front of God in what I say. As far as my private life is concerned, it's my private life. Whatever I know to be right by my Sharia, I'll commit it. And I can defend it. But the way these people have gone about, swearing and cursing, and I heard what happened in the ESCO and EXO meeting that you guys had, and whatever. And the people were shouting and getting emotional. What? Emotional for what? Shouldn't the scholars be telling them, guys, this emotionalities is wrong? When you say he's misguiding our youths, what did your Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam do? Didn't he misguide the youths of the kuffar? Didn't Abu Sufyan cry out that he's misguiding our youths? Shouldn't we listen to reason and listen to the book of Allah? Zakir Naik said, Imam Ghazali has said this. I said, so what if Imam Ghazali has said this? It doesn't make sense. Imam Ghazali said to Yazid, may Allah bless him. So Zakir Naik presented that as a proof. So I said, so what if Ghazali is saying it? Surely, are we not people who are ordained by Allah to give loyalty to Allah Himself and His Messenger? So it's very clear to me that, look, the people who have written this Muhammad Walji and others, is only doing it for one reason. Look at the titles, Marjas are mental. When did I say Marjas are mental? Why don't you guys clarify that when did Arif say Marjas are mental?
Exactly, that's it, Sheikh. That's what we are hoping to do after hearing it from you yourself.
When I heard this Marjas are mental, I said, really? I thought we were all mental. My teacher, Ayatollah Amini, used to tell me, he used to say, look, from the time we get into this particular field, we are all mental. No sane man would get into this field, you know. First and foremost, you go in there, whatever little religion you have, you ruin, and then the people curse you on top. In any case, I'm sorry about that, going off on a tangent. It's because I feel very comfortable. That's why I say I'm so sorry, yes? Thank you.
The only reason, I mean, it would be a big, we'll try our best to get all the clips ourselves, but if we, like, I don't know if they're still all available or not. If there are some which we can't get, is it okay we get back to you and ask you to send us the clips, or maybe some of those which have been taken down?
I definitely will. My dear brother, whatever you want. If you ask me to supply you with what I think is incriminating evidence against me that you don't have, I'll send that to you as well. Okay? I swear by my life in front of my God. Now in here, there's nothing you can incriminate me with, but maybe there is something else that I know where it is. I'll send that as well. Okay? Okay? And please pass that on to Safdar Jafar. Tell him you still don't know what this man really is. If only you knew.
I mean, wanting the clips and wanting your articles is in the same philosophy, it's in the same as hadith, i.e. tabayyun, right? So it's in that
tabayyun of what? Am I a kafir? Am I a fasik that you want to do tabayyun of me?
No, rather the other way around. Rather that we have heard reports, right? We have reports are suspicious for us, they are not yaqeen avar for us. So we are doing tabayyun to make sure what they are saying, is it genuine or not? So we're going to the original. We're not calling you a fasik or anything. If any, it's those reports that we have received that we are suspect of.
No, thank you.
So instead of being, really, it's in that spirit.
So then, can you do me one favor? In this Muharram, everybody has bad-mouthed me. From Safdar Razi, to Mukhtar Abbas, to, what's his name, Mujahid. He has said I'm saying gay marriages are okay, and this and that and that. This is all false, wrong. Can you do me a favor in front of Allah? Because Allah will ask. Allah in His Messenger will tell them, when has He said any of these things that you've attributed to Him? Where? Ask Safdar, where does Arif say that the 12th Imam doesn't exist? Ask him. Ask him in Dubai, you said this in a majlis that he doesn't believe in the 12th Imam. Where? In fact, he is the only one. And somebody went to him and he said, but do you know, Safdar, that Arif proves the existence of the 12th Imam after that majlis? Ask him. Where has he said this? Ask those people. Where has Arif done ijtihad against Imam Hussein? I am saying, seriously, if you really want Imam Hussein, then be Imam Hussein. How can somebody say I'm doing this for Imam Hussein and then slander and then swear and then curse? My mother has been cursed, my father has been cursed. Really? Is this what the ulama have put their people to? Is this what they're doing? Why don't you ask? 40 years of preaching from the pulpit, what have these Maulanas taught apart from sectarian sort of differences? Sectarianism, matam, beating heads, my goodness, the Shia community, have you seen where it is right now? Is this what Imam Ali has taught us? Really? Where is Ali ibn Abi Talib's accurate history, example, morality, his philosophy, his cosmology? Where is it? Where is it being taught? His theology, his spirituality? Where? Why don't you ask them as well that this is a man Arif? Whatever. But you guys have accused him of this, and this. Where has he said any of these things? Will you go and put them under scrutiny? Because they have said this from the pulpit against me. I have not targeted any one of them. My views are these views, which are very open views. They are against whoever says them, whether they're against the Marjaiyat system, or whether they're against Shia theology, or Shia history, or Sunni theology, or Sunni history, or Christian theology, Christian history. I'm very, very open. I'm very open. I have no concern with X, Y, and Z. I don't have any concern with any of them. These are my ideas. I'm talking about Shia, Sunni, Islam. Yeah? Please, will you now go to them and tell them, why have you done this to Arif? Will you do that in front of the World Federation people who you are representing? Will you tell them that, wait a minute, Mujahid has said this and this about Arif? Mukhtar has said this about Arif, Safdar has said this about Arif, Safdar Razi has said this about Arif. Really? What's his name? Mansoor Lagai has said this? Seriously? I wrote a letter to Sayyid Sistani and I've asked him why, on what basis was the institute Ijaza cancelled? There's full accountability. Why? Shouldn't we be explaining? Shouldn't we be explaining? Isn't this what Dawood did in the Quran? Dawood was reprimanded for listening to one side. Did Ali ibn Abi Talib do Hakam in this way? Listen to one side? Did the Prophet teach us this? There's no reply from, and then the letter went to Sayyid Sistani and went to Ali, what's his name? Muhammad Raza, yes? Ask them, where is the response? Are you guys beyond Allah and His Messenger? Are you beyond the Kitabullah and the Rasulullah? Are you beyond it? Really? Look, when I go in my grave, I'm not counting on any marja. I'm not. It's me and my deeds. And my wilayah of Allah primarily, and wilayah of the Prophet and his family is secondarily.
Sorry, Sheikh, the last 10 seconds got cut off.
Yes, please record this. I'm saying when I go into my grave, no marja is going to come with me. It's going to be my wilayah with my Allah, my wilayah of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad that I'm counting on. Yes? But tell them, is anybody beyond the book of God and the messenger of God? Now, when they hear this statement from me, they're going to be all emotional. And they're going to, make a big song and dance of it. But tell them, after you've become emotional, now begin to think about it. Think about it. In any case, my dear brothers, I will send you whatever you want, but please, if you can, do this for me as well. Yes? If it's important, if you can't do it and if it's difficult for you, then I understand and I will not hold it against anybody. Yes? And that's my word to you, neither in this dunya nor in the akhirah. Yeah?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sheikh. Okay. So continuing here on 16, by and large, we do know that there is no such thing as human najasa, yes, in the Sharia sense. So there is no human najis person. You can eat the food of anyone you want, provided it's not maita, dead animal, khinzir, swine, blood, or that which has been sacrificed on other than the name of God, yes? Other than that, we know we can eat every meat. In this next part is still connected. Yes, I mean halal, we can eat halal served by any hand and cooked by any hand, we can eat. That we know. But now then there are needs of the community in which he states. Now look, we need to know these everyday things. Now we can't use our discretion in that. That's quite right. We can't use our discretion. So I will just say, now look, within our traditional setup, the only requirement is to make reference for the one who knows, yes? The one who knows can be anybody and be everybody. So if anybody produces evidences and they make sense, then we can follow their opinion, provided they are evidence-based. Or the traditional camp and the mirages that we have. Okay, so the first part, I guess, is on najasa, and then I'll continue on this next part.
That's absolutely fine. So the najasa thing is, إنما المشركون النجس. There is no حقيقة الشرعية, and at the time of the issuance of the ayah, there is حقيقة المتشرعة by the time of Imam Sadiq, or maybe even the later era of Imam Ali. So I've written an article on this, that إنما المشركون النجس is talking about filth, which is spiritual filth, and that's the whole article that is there. You'll receive it. So we cannot substantiate that this is physical najasa, as one of the person who argues says that in that case, فلا يقرب المسجد الحرام بعد عام هذا. But if it is physical najasa, then bowl and ghayat and khinzir and kalb are all physical najis, right? But they were all coming into the precinct, so it cannot mean physical najasa. So it has to be spiritual najasa, for example, yes? So that's what I'm saying, and it's there in that article that there's no such thing as najasatu badan al-insan, no such thing. Yeah? And it's become dhururatul madhab. When I'm saying how did it become dhururatul madhab? On many occasions Sayyid al-Khuy also contests against the notion of dhururatul madhab. In the case of the Maghrib prayers, and I've written an article on that as well, but maybe we don't need to go into that because that doesn't come into these series of questions. So yes, I do not believe in the najasa of insan, and that's the article that inshallah I will send to you, please, if you can read that. Now when we do need to make reference, then I'm saying that we need models, and in that models we have to refer to the one who knows. That's where we are right now. So
yes. Yeah, that's right. All the traditional camp and the marajas that we have, we can choose and do partiality of taqleed, A, B, and C, but we can't go to B if we know that A is the most learned in the issue in which I want to follow B.
So this
because
is,
that's contrary.
Sorry, so this is, we're talking about that the most learned, the most accurate view is the essential rational requirement. So if you know A is most learned, you can never go to B. So if A is saying this guy is najis, then we have to take that as God's truth because we have to go to the most learned. Yeah? Then we can't do partiality in that issue.
So if I know that A is the most competent in issue X, then I would not be able to make reference rationally to B in issue who is not most competent in that issue. So provided that is unknown within the traditional setup, legitimately, so when you can read the view of Sayyid Khoi, Sayyid Khomeini, Sayyid Sistani, I know a few of them are against this based on the principle of continuity, but that argument is extremely weak, but very prominent scholars subscribe to that argument, but it's extremely weak.
So say Sheikh Makarim Shirazi, from what I remember of reading of him, yes? Now this is going back over 10 years ago, so my memory might be a little rusty, but then I'll need to just clarify that some people, and I think it's Sheikh Makarim, who is of the opinion that you can't do tab'id because once you choose, it becomes ma'lum al-hujjiyah. Once it becomes ma'lum al-hujjiyah, you can't change to another one because that becomes mashkuk al-hujjiyah. And shak yaqeen cannot be undermined by shak. And so the new one that you want to follow, you are shak, you have doubt about it. The old one that you're following, you already know that it is ma'lum al-hujjiyah upon you. So I'm saying that argument is very weak because istishab, according to the existential framework, does not work in such situations. Yes?
Okay. 17, I think some of the issues in 17 have been covered. Let's see. Incompetency in matters of economy, incompetency in our understanding of a political or just social system, commerce and bank, for example. The whole world is always in a state of incompetency turning into competency, landing itself into further incompetency as complexities develop.
Now, what
Taqleed is a very simple notion.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, carry on. So what I was trying to say...
Yeah, because I think this is...
So what I was trying to say there is that taqleed is always changing. The need to the other is always changing because you need the other in matters of incompetency. We become competent and therefore we need them in newer areas of incompetency. So it's a dynamic process. Taqleed, reference to the one who knows, is different today than what it was 50 years ago. Because in many instances we become competent, but we are now, with further complexities, we are incompetent in many other areas. So that's where we need now reference to the learned. That's all I was trying to say in that particular paragraph.
Taqleed is a very simplistic notion that you refer to one person, lock, stock and barrel of what transcriptor has written here, one shemad
Of life.
All the problems of life. That's the thing.
So what I'm saying is
the
taqleed.
Problem two.
Sorry, the notion of taqleed as it stands at the moment is you follow one person in lock, stock and barrel of the needs of your life. What I'm saying is no, the situation is very, very complex. You can't just rely on one person. There's huge complexities. We need to refer to a variety of different people. Sorry, so that was the first one.
The problem too with taqleed is, and I will develop this tomorrow, is that it is only looking at a very pedantic appreciation of the text, whereas the level of need is rooted within our state of existence. So, for example, if we want to understand the issue of organ donation, let us say the mujtahid will merely look at what? The appreciation of life and death, sanctity of a Muslim and cutting up Muslim, and whether the organs can be given or weighing up the pros of giving organs and the cons of not giving for the society, for medical research, for giving life to the other. These are the only things that they will look at, but the central concern will be the sacredness of life.
So what I'm trying to say here is not the problem too with taqleed. What it means is the problem too with ijtihad. So it's with taqleed as well. So we rely on the mujtahid who does his ijtihad, and the ijtihad method is a pedantic appreciation of the texts delivered within 7th century Arabia. That's what I'm trying to say. Pedantic understanding, very apparent understanding. So the thing is, you can't cut open a Muslim. The Muslim life is sacred. You can't do anything. The body of the Muslim is a property of God or the Tawaf Imam. You can donate in your lifetime because you have ikhtiyar. After your death, your body belongs to God or the Tawaf Imam. These are the classical sort of arguments that the Mujtahid bring out from the sort of primary texts, yes, that we have of the Quran and of the Sunnah of the Prophet and the 12 Imams. So here the only things that they will operate on is Muslim is sacred. But if the life of the other is contingent upon the organ of a Muslim, then and only then can you donate it, yes? Or if research that adds to the life of a Muslim is contingent upon an organ, then post-mortem sort of autopsies, then they are allowed. So I'm saying here that they will only, in the given model right now, look at the pedantic understanding of the Sharia text and then apply that. However, the situation is far more complex, and we can go proceed on to the next one, yeah? Next section of this.
Right. So now the mujtahid, if they say that yes, you can donate organs, which many of them say, then a lot of these organs have to be extracted prior to death. But killing and euthanasia is haram because life is sacred. However, extraction of those organs would definitely lead to death. So we can see that they cannot resolve such problems. They are for pedantic interpretation of text. Ijtihad, therefore, has to be based on something far more. It's a very simplistic model. So there are many flaws within the model in terms of the existential framework.
So here, when you look at Ayatollah Sistani's fatwa, when you look at the brain death issue, he says if you know that extracting the organ will definitely hasten death and speed it up, then it's not allowed. Because extraction of the organs brings about definite death, and that is considered euthanasia. And euthanasia is haram because of the sacredness of life, and therefore the organs cannot be taken. So on the one hand we are saying, okay, organs can be given for the sake of promoting life of the other Muslim, yes? Of course, they also make the distinction between the Muslim and the non-Muslim life, and the Muslim life is more sacred than the lesser entities within our fiqh. Fadlullah has challenged that on the basis of, well, there should be reciprocation, there should be a reciprocal relationship, and whatever views he has in his own self. But I'm just pointing out here a problem, that we on the one hand would say organs, okay, maybe given. But how is it possible to give organs when you also have a fatwa that you can't do anything that is leading to sure death and euthanasia? So I'm saying here that the pedantic appreciation of the text within the traditional model does not satisfactorily give us answers, and hence we have to look beyond the pedantic interpretation of the Sharia text and include many other methods in the interpretive process and in the process of ijtihad. That's the point I was trying to make there. And I've actually just given a talk with my daughter at Great Ormond Street in London, and there were many representatives from the MCB and other places on the notion of organ donation and my own views, and my daughter gave the views of the traditional scholars, Ayatollah Sistani, Ayatollah Sana'i, Sayyid Fadlullah, so on and so forth. So maybe the report of that might be available, and we can give that to you as well, yes?
Yeah, thanks.
And I'll send you the clips of the links of these two particular, there are two lectures that contain this discussion there. So you can have that as well afterwards.
Yeah. Right. In addition, when we come to the examination of the whole issue of reference to one who knows, we will also understand that what conflicts with our intuition, we cannot place on somebody else's neck and say, we are absolved of this responsibility. So, for example, if the faqih's methodology, pedantic methodology, says you do 3 Eids, that is highly inconsistent with social Islam. I mean, isn't it obvious we raise our hands and when we say, this day that you have made Eid for the Muslimin, right, we know when we are reading it, we know we are lying to God, right? Because he hasn't made that day Eid for the Muslimin. He's made it Eid for me and you only. The rest of them are doing it tomorrow and others day after. And God knows what others are doing, like us guys in Birmingham. It's a month after you guys finish yours.
So you know I'm being sarcastic, right? We have this dua, أسألك بحق هذا اليوم الذي جعلته للمسلمين عيدا. Nobody knows that they're lying to God, but I'm just trying to make them aware that look how naive we are. We are saying, I beseech you by this day that you made Eid for the Muslimin. And we know that others are not doing it. So I'm just trying to make them aware. So here what I'm saying is that yes, taqleed works. But if intuitively you know that this fatwa is inaccurate, you cannot absolve yourself of responsibility before God. Just because the fatwa says this is the way it is, your intuition says contrary to it, you have to then probe into it further. Your intuition tells you there cannot be more than one Eid. It's inconsistent with social Islam. But the mujtahid's pedantic methodology does not look at the social considerations of Islam. It will only look at the pedantic interpretation of the text. So that's what I was trying to point at here, that the pedantic interpretation is problematic, one. And two, we are very unfair in saying that, well, he's done his research, the sin is on him, I'm not going to be accountable. I'm saying, no, you are going to be accountable as well. You need to understand that you can't put your responsibility on the neck of somebody else when your own intuition tells you that this doesn't sit well. Yeah? وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. Allah is saying, look, I'm training you yourself, through your intellect, through your reason, through your intuition. No matter how many people say it's right or wrong, you know there is something that you need to probe into.
Okay, I think there's only four more. 18. It's conflicting with our better understanding. Can we say, what the heck, man, he is going to take the responsibility. I'm going to do it tomorrow, or I'm going to do it 3 days after. Intuitively, we know it's possible. It is conflicting. Can we shed responsibility upon other or fatwas based on the former paradigm of the land of Muslims and the land of disbelievers who are antagonizing the Muslims? Based on that paradigm, there are laws that we can go into the land of the antagonizers and steal from them to weaken them, yes? So that they cannot mount an offensive against the Muslims.
So here what I'm trying to say again is the same thing. That if a faqih is operating on a former paradigm of the Darul Islam and Darul Harb, and to say go to Darul Harb and you can steal from them, and they say that England is Darul Harb, so you can steal. What I'm trying to say is that is the mujtahid's understanding in accordance with his paradigm. The paradigm has shifted. These are now nation states. The world is no longer divided on religious lines. So just because a fatwa says you can steal doesn't mean you can steal. Your intuition is telling you you can't steal. Because we are not in Darul Harb. Now I don't know if Sheikh Al-Adina, if you remember that in the 70s we had these fatwas that we could steal from UK, and many people defrauded the insurance system, we stole credit cards, we ran up their bills, all in the name of weakening the Darul Harb. So I was just saying here, you cannot place responsibility of something that you know is wrong upon the shoulders of another person just because there's a fatwa.
If somebody is still operating in that paradigm and they say that you can go to the UK and steal from your neighbor, so we say, well, I know I shouldn't be doing it, but the responsibility is, and I'll go and do it, and we have this conflict. What do you do at that point if we know that it's inaccurate? Or, and I always give this because it always wins me a lot of support and ensures that I come back, that when a woman says that I've seen the moon and we say, nah, bring another woman, and we know she has created a craft that can land us on Mars. She has that much ability. So we know at those points that where there is conflict against our better judgment, we cannot place responsibility on others. So these are some of the problems that we have pointed, and we have just been trying to gesture and indicate and flirting with the idea of a greater model, which we inshallah to talk about tomorrow.
So I was just basically saying you can't place responsibility on the necks of another when you know intuitively it doesn't make sense. And if a woman says, look, I've seen the moon, you can't say go and bring another woman, because the Quran itself is saying that if one forgets and the other one can remind her, so if one does not forget, there's no need for the other one to remind her, right? What the Quran is trying to point is at an essence of accurate testimonials. That's all the Quran is saying. If not two men, then one man and two women, so that if one forgets, other one can remind her. But the one is not going to forget. Yes? And this is what I say to the Muslim jurists, that look, And Imam Ali said this to Abu Bakr, that when you said that Lady Fatima was making a false claim, you're going against the Prophet, because the Prophet called her Siddiqa. She never lies. You cannot ask her to produce another woman witness when you know that she's not lying. So obviously Imam Ali was going against the Quran according to our understanding. But according to Imam Ali, Abu Bakr was going against the Quran. Because the Quran is talking about accurate testimonials. The pedantic reading of the Quran is lending a meaning which is alien to the Quran itself. The essence of the Quran is something else. Anyway, what I was trying to say here is that, look, a woman comes and tells you, I have seen the moon. We don't have to say, look, go and get another woman. She is an astronomer, astrophysicist. She knows what a moon looks like. She knows where it's going to take birth. She knows how it's sightable. If she says, I've seen the moon, end of story. So I'm saying, of course, the fuqaha also say that when you have i'timad, you can follow, right? They also say if you have i'timad, you can follow some of them. Others don't agree. But I was just trying to highlight the problem here. That intuitively sometimes we know, no, actually she makes sense. So why do I need to be so pedantic in the method to get another one? I know there is something that's amiss, there's a bit of a flaw here. That's the thing that I was trying to highlight, and then obviously I build on that the next day. And inshallah we'll send you the full links. I'm ready now for the next one.
Okay, number 19. Right, because a human being is a holistic being. We can not only look at the text and try and derive the intent of God. We have to look at the human being in the broadest context, in which the mujtahid, in the traditional sense, will be one feature of it. Not the exclusive word, the authoritative part, but one of many others who come together. That is how ijtihad should look. Now, you might say, well, what about we have been accustomed to? Now, what have we been accustomed to of taqleed and ijtihad is something alien to what is really suggested by the Book of God and the tradition of the Prophet.
So the model of ijtihad that I suggest is a collective model, in which mujtahid is a part of it, and many other mujtahids with different models of operation should be parts of it, but also experts in those fields. So for example, in the question of euthanasia, we need a mujtahid, we need a philosopher, we need somebody from the care industry, we need somebody to tell us the understanding of suffering and the purification of human soul, we need somebody to tell us what is the definition of death, what is brain death, for example, yes, so on and so forth. We need the integration of all these people's views in a holistic manner, and that's when we understand. And similarly, I always say that, look, the Wilayat al-Faqih model, political model works for Iran, so let it work for them. But I can never accept that one person can occupy the seat of Muhammad Rasulullah or the Sahib al-Zaman. There is no intellect that is competent enough to occupy their seat. So if the Sahib al-Zaman is unavailable, then Faqih is not the one that understands, like Imam Khomeini's sort of book on Wilayat al-Faqih, that's the model on which the Iranian sort of Wilayat al-Faqih operates, that he is mutlaqan in the seat of the Prophet because he's the one who knows the intent of God. I'm saying no, the Faqih does not know the intent of God accurately. The Prophet had the knowledge of the social circumstances of the people, understanding of their spirituality, understanding of their inner workings, the understanding of the combination of mind and body, yes, the whole understanding of eschatology and progression of human being, the understanding of individual and collective coexistences and how they cooperate. The Faqih doesn't have any of those understandings. So there is no one man who can say that they can be in the seat of Muhammad Rasulullah or the Sahib al-Zaman. You have to have the collective intellect coming together to try to determine in a holistic manner what is the most accurate position. And even then it will not be accurate, because this universe is an evolutionary universe and we are always changing. So it's an ongoing process and struggle. And that's why we call ourselves Mukhatta'a or Mukhattiya. Yeah? And I've written an article on that, which inshallah Friday I'll be sending it to you. It's for Durham University. So anyway, that's what I was trying to point out in that particular section there.
Thanks. What is suggested by the Book of God is reference to one who knows, and is our human condition. Because when we don't know something, we will refer to someone who does know something. That is the only thing the Book of God talks of. And that is an existential principle, and that is the human condition. You don't need to be told this. We already know this, and if I don't know something, I will refer to someone who does know. It's a rational thing derived from intuition, which is our human condition, which is in line with the general properties of existence.
So I talk about I talk about the existential properties, and I try to base my model on existential properties. But I'm sure this paragraph is quite obvious. It's quite explanatory that the Quran is talking about fasal wa ala dhikr, or the one who knows. And this is a rational principle, that if I don't know something, I go to somebody who does know. Somebody says something, that's quite obvious, right? So we can move on to the third paragraph.
Right. The whole of this issue of a mujtahid being, in brackets, and by the way, this group that does ijtihad will be the point of reference, close brackets. The whole issue of mujtahid being a male is alien to the rational principle and to the text. Not substantiated neither from the Quran nor from the tradition of the Prophet or the Imam. And at most, what we can say is that it was a social need. I'm going to look further into this inheritance and other things, and to say how this ijtihad conduct itself. Yes?
So even when you look at the work of people like Namazi, who's commented on, I don't know if it's Namazi, but a few people, but Rajuliya of the Mujtahid is a societal consideration. It is not a rational consideration. Taqleed in itself is a rational principle. And that rational principle is oblivious to any specifications. The specification of Rajul and Hay, all of these are societal consideration. It's for the hadith which says, Undur ila Rajulin, that Rajul was Fardul Ghalib, as some of our ulama have said. It doesn't mean that it has to be Rajul. Yes? It's just a Fardul Ghalib that was outside. In the outside world, there were only Rijal doing these things. Yes? Reporting the hadith of the Imam and so on and so forth. So Rajuliya was never a consideration in Taqleed. The central principle of Taqleed has been accuracy of what God knows, accuracy of knowledge, that's all.
For him to be alive again is alien. There is no such thing as living. It's based on the understanding of what Taqleed means and somebody bearing the yoke of responsibility. It's an offshoot of that presumption, but if the research is there, for example, we stated today that one of the conditions for the necessity of imitation was that we cannot, with confidence, commit ourselves to an act with the aim that this is something desired by God, without first proving that this is desired by God. Remember yesterday's discussion, Tabatabai, unclear, stated that in the a'mal, a person has either to be a mujtahid or otherwise those a'mals are not executed accurately. Why?
So here I'm saying being alive, yes, is not an essential need rationally. Because we have this notion of taqleed, qallada, you put your yoke of responsibility in somebody else's neck. Now the fact that Sayyid Sistani and says you do ruju to Sayyid al-Khuy fully, yes? Because Sayyid Sistani himself, when I spoke with him and he said, look, Sayyid al-Khuy definitely was more alam than I am. Now you have doubts, Sayyid al-Khuy is still more alam than I am. So you've got to refer to him in the lock, stock and barrel of your taqleed. So what I'm saying here is that these are from the pedantic interpretation of taqleed, qallada, to put the yoke, and somebody is taking your responsibility through their fatwa. The fact that they said that he has died and he's not taking responsibility, we are saying if that man's research is alive, and if that research has not been replaced by more accurate research, then there is no need to go to another one, unless there is more accurate research coming out. And I'm here talking about taqleed in a very broad sense and more holistic sense. So for example, the meaning of organ donation and euthanasia. If a panel were to discuss this issue and to come out with findings, whether that panel is alive or dead, so long as their research is current, we will follow that research. Like in commerce and in business, like in science, like in medicine. I'm saying taqleed is no different from that. So long as the research is current and it's alive and not replaced by anything else, you don't have to go to anybody else. Then the point is of Qadim Tabatabai Yazdi, Al-Warwatul Wafqa, Fila Amal, and that you have to be Muqallid or Mujtahid or do Ihtiyat, otherwise your Amal are not accepted. Now, the assertion that your Amal are not accepted is based on a technical point. That one of the essentiality of Amal is that we say qurbatan ilallah in ibadat. I am praying, seeking nearness to God. The question here is a technical one. Do you know that God really wants you to do this as a means of gaining proximity to Him? The answer that the laity will give is no, I don't. So the question is then, how can you use this as a means of seeking proximity to God? You don't know it. So your intention is void. If your intention is void, the whole action is void. That is the underlying argument there, that without taqleed your a'mal are void. Because the intentions cannot be ascertained. So somebody is not doing taqleed and standing on the musalla saying, I pray 4 rakat salah in this way, qurbatan ilallah. He is obviously saying something he doesn't know. So the intention is void, the whole act is void. So therefore, if you don't know, then do taqleed of somebody who does know. So at least your intention, which is the principle of your act, is accurate, and then you conduct the rest of your act. So that is the technical point there. Now we can go into it.
When the person is a mujtahid, they have legitimately inferred the responsibility from its text, and they know this is the intent of God. And the laity, they failing to have that competence, will then refer to somebody who has done the research, because person A, who has not conducted any research, can with confidence say that I am praying this prayer as desired by God. Because it can be asked of that person, well, how do you know that this has been desired by God? And there is no knowledge base, so therefore the whole act is null and void.
I think this is explanation of what we just said, right? So we can go on to the next one, yes?
We stated there yesterday that the accuracy of an act is based on its existential properties, not on intentions. If the salah brings about greater existence within the human being, then that salah has been accepted, and no matter how much taqleed we do, if the salah does not bring about reform within the individual, it's not accepted. Yes? Just as contracts. Traditionally, the contracts were conducted in Arabic language.
Okay, so what I was saying was that the assertion is that the muamalat and ibadat are not accepted without taqleed. So I was saying this point that Qasim Tamatwa Yazdi has made is a brilliant point. I acknowledge it's a brilliant point, a technical point. However, the framework in which he is operating can be challenged. So for example, at one point, the muamalat were conducted in Arabic. So we had the whole of this bab in fiqh about mu'aqat, the non-verbal sort of exchange of goods. Now what I'm saying here is that existential outcomes will determine the siha and fasad, or the acceptance and the non-acceptance of a'mal, or siha and fasad of mu'amalat. So we go to a shop, we pay £1 and take the bottle of milk. The ownership transfers. As soon as ownership is transferred, shows that the muamala is accurate whether you do taqleed or not. Because we are talking about the outcomes here. In an existential framework, if the effect of the muamala is assured, then that's it. The muamala is accurate whether you do taqleed or not. Similarly, in ibadat are spiritual things. Their whole notion of acceptance and rejection is concerned with the state of spirituality in the inner state. So somebody asked Imam Ali Salamullah alayhi, how do I know that my salah is accepted or not? And some attribute this hadith to the Prophet, but I read it from Imam Ali and then from the Prophet. So I think more famous one is from Imam Ali. So Imam Ali said, he read the verse of the Quran, Inna salat tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. That salah wards you from indecency and that which is reprehensible. So every time you pray salah, if you are becoming more decent and more moral and spiritual, your salah is accepted, otherwise it's not accepted. So you can be doing taqleed, and if your salah is not making you a more spiritually centered person, and more moral, then that salah is not accepted according to the logic of Imam Ali. No matter how much taqleed you do. And if you don't do taqleed, but your salah is making you existentially more liberated, more self-realized, then that salah is accepted whether you do taqleed or not. So what I'm saying here is that given the point that Tabatabai has made, the technicalities of his point are wonderful, but they can be questioned when we say that, look, you're operating in a model, in ibadat and in muamalat that are alien to the model that we should be operating in. In ibadat, the model is one of spirituality. In muamalat, the model is one of existential properties and transfer of, let's say, goods. And in ibadat, of existential property of growth. That's what I was, the point that I was trying to make.
20. Question. The fiqh masail is really a very much problematic. I think at the moment, particular in personal, my granddaughter being 9 years old, is this age of bulugh? Answer. We need to discuss bulugh very, very carefully. From the best of my understanding, the Imam Sadiq al-Islam had the accurate. I think maybe the transcriber was getting very tired here. It doesn't flow as well as the previous ones.
Okay.
Okay, has responded this accurately? Or there was a revolutionary scheme, the Imam is looking at social habits, the eating habits, the living standards, yes,
sorry,
because we are...
It's evolutionary scheme, yes? Evolutionary scheme, yeah?
What was this?
Evolutionary scheme.
Right. Okay,
No,
so
not
here
revolutionary
we need to... Yeah, we will need to get this transcribed a bit better. Okay, fine. The scheme, the Imam is looking at social habits, yeah, because we are existent. So somebody asked the Imam, and he said, she menstruates when she is 13.
We are cut off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Hello?
here. I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. So, can you see that by the law of general woman's role was to reproduce? The Arabs were sophisticated at that point when the Prophet came to them. He said at 9 they are in the desert, in a hostile environment. I don't know if you have seen the movie Genghis Khan. Please watch it. It will give us an example of how prophetic society was like. That man would be killed, that the woman would be taken, and the children would be taken, and then the tribe would be killed again, and the woman would be re-inherited. It was that type of hostile environment, and yatims were many. Women who were mentioned early, they would be responsible. For example, we know now, of course, our ancestors, that some of our ancestors were shifted from India to Africa at the age of 9. Boys at the age of 9, they were expected to work, earn, and the monies would be received by their parents, or today in their right mind will be willing to send their 9-year-old to school alone, accompanied, thing. The 9-year-old law is not really there. It was in that context in the evolutionary scheme. Either when she menstruates or she is 13, that's not of the problem. It is obviously ungodly for any child to fast, I think, fast for 19 or 20 hours. It's wrong, totally wrong. Totally wrong, but wrong, I think you meant. No fast should be that long, plus it doesn't serve a purpose. It makes people sick, ill and well. Yes, this is what we discuss in the fiqh workshop, so please wait for the papers to come out and see how the thinking has been done. And through the president that is there within the Quran, president, that is there within the Quran and the Hadith, how the people were there, they resolved the issue. Ayatollah Kamal Haidari is representative Ayatollah Muhakkik, and but this is totally wrong for anybody to fast for such long length of time, and especially for the Shias, knowing the ihtiyat at the beginning and at the end is just crazy.
The Quran does not mention the age of bulugh. I talk about horizontal and vertical axis of growth and evolution. So I'll send 2 papers to you on this. Actually, I'll send you the bulugh paper, in which I've looked at the whole issue of bulugh, fundamentally from the Quran and then from the Hadith literature and the fluctuating Hadith literature, and try to reconcile it within the existential scheme. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Shall we do that then?
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's
okay.
great.
I'm suggesting in that paper that bulugh is contingent on many conditions: social, environmental, lifestyle, and in this relativistic world, different regions, women become baligh differently in different regions. And at the same time, there are different levels of bulugh for different types of responsibilities. And response aptitude and capacities bring in responsibilities and rights together hand in hand. So that paper discusses all of that. That existential capacity is always changing, and there are different levels of bulugh for different responsibilities, and responsibilities and rights are contingent to each other. So inshallah that paper can be sent over, yes? Bulugh paper.
Right.
Okay.
21. There is a huge problem in the way the faqih mentality is and in the mode in which they operate, that you can't go outside that. But when you see the hadith resemble, doesn't make sense. This framework, I think. Somebody went to the imam and said, well, my child cannot fast. So the imam says, well, then he is very thirsty. Give your child a sip of water to the extent that it is enough and let them fast. Yes? 15 Sahih hadiths, 15, and we do not know what to do with them. People going, there is alcohol on my garment. Somebody was sipping it, maybe sipping it, and
sipping.
spit on me. Imam says, so what is it made haram to consume? Nothing else, go and pray. 15 and 16 Imam Sahih hadiths. We can't do anything about them. It's a problem. Of course, we found a magical reconciliation, which we don't agree with it at all. Then 15 other hadiths that say, wash your garments and pray again. The Imam cannot contradict themselves. Yes, they can't. So what is happening? The story is something else. Therefore, we need different model in which they think. You see, the alcohol was never najis. It was haram to consume. But when the Imam told a different context, called the law of jasa, if I dispense it, they are going to be little alcohol altogether. It's going to increase their tendency to go and consume it. He said, now wash your garment and pray again in order to bring the fatness out alcohol. So when you see the hadith literature everywhere, there is no single chapter. It's everywhere we find it. It's indications. It's everywhere. The whole of this open faith, proper performance and a compromised performance, and strictly do this. It's not in the Sharia at all, in the Sharia of Islam. I apologize for the bad translation here, and Bella will make this accurate.
No
But,
problem.
I'm sure
No problem. But I'll go to the core of the issue here. So at least we get that clear. So now there are many hadiths, more than 15 mu'tabar hadiths that alcohol is tahir. They are coming from the time of the 5th and the 6th Imam. And there are number of hadiths lesser than the mu'tabar. They are saying it's tahir. The hadiths they are saying they are najis. And their weight in terms of strength of asnad are equal. And I'm not going to narrate those hadiths. Somebody drank alcohol, somebody had alcohol on his clothes. The Imam says, your clothes do not become drunk. Go and pray. Yes? And a pig brush against somebody said, pig is haram to consume, nothing else, go and pray. So now the fuqaha are always in this problem. What do we do? So then the masala was referred to this 7th Imam. And the people say, well, what do we do? We have conflicting hadith of Abu Abdullah and Abu Ja'far, salamullah alayhima. And the later hadith was of Abu Abdullah. So the 7th Imam said, follow the hadith of Abu Abdullah, the last ones, which is saying declaring them as najis. So here in my framework of ijtihad, this is what I say. That the Imam has spoken to somebody and said alcohol is tahir. That person has gone away saying alcohol is tahir, it's not najis. To this person, Imam is saying alcohol is najis. He's gone away assuming it is najis. Now these two are going about their own work. There is no taqiyya that we can prove here at all. There is no taqiyya in the case of these ahadith. It's only with the benefit of hindsight, when people see different people behaving differently, narrating differently, that we then come and we say, well, what do we do with conflicting ahadith? Is there jam'ul urfi, for example? Is it idha ta'arada tasaqata? Is there a case of murajjahat, yes, or taqiyya? In any case, they went to the 7th Imam. 7th Imam said, use the one that the 6th Imam gave at the very end. My argument here is that the Imam has misguided somebody. Existentially, alcohol wasn't tahir and became najis, or najis and became tahir overnight. Its existential properties were there. So the Imam was looking at a particular context, and in that context giving the law. The Imam cannot deliberately misguide a person. And this is the problem with all of the conflicting hadiths that I said, that they were all issued in their own context, and we need to search for the essence. Now, if you look, there is no such thing as najasa of the alcohol. Alcohol is haram to consume. It is not najis at all, in the way that we understand. And in fact, the najasa that the hadith talk about, and I discussed this in my fiqh class, of the pig and the blood and everything, it's not the ceremonial najasa that we talk about. These are unhygienic things. It's not the ceremonial najasa of khabas that we talk about. Khabas is something we have to remove for ceremonial devotion. Otherwise, the ceremonial devotion is not accurate. This khabasiyya, in the ceremonial sense, is not proven for these entities or substances or ayan najisa. But here we're talking about alcohol only. So in my model, I would say that no, the alcohol is not najis at all. The Imam saw that by saying to them that alcohol is not najis, these guys are maybe belittling association with alcohol. So therefore, in many, many contexts, he said, look, just wash your clothes. Pray again to teach them to keep away from these substances. And that's in my own ijtihadi model. And I talk about this, maybe I've spoken about this in one of the articles that I'll be sending to you. The different sort of contexts in which the Imams have said different things which are apparently conflicting. And only with the benefit of hindsight can people 2 generations down say that there's a conflict. But the people immediately involved with those hadiths act in accordance with it. Yeah?
Right. Yep. Okay. And so last one. What I want to say from here is we need to think, and the more we think, the more mysterious and more senses, more senses comes. Yes, for those of us who understand Urdu, Nusrat Fateh Khan Hassan Qawadi Aurat Danda is a work of Sufi. Please hit it on YouTube or wherever you can find it. And for those who don't understand Urdu, get it translated. It's phenomenal. Where it looks for the dualities, Aurat Danda, mystery, it is beautiful. It expresses all these mysteries and conflicts that are there, but the mind will not be there to resolve them. We have to take a path. The Sufis talk the path of the heart, and that's slowly where answers begin to come. And they are translated, thinking mind, and then the mind can begin to reconcile. But the beauty of this journey is the more you reconcile, the greater is the challenge that awaits you, awaits your bigger mystery. So there will be no end to these mysteries.
So now, instead of listening to the mysteries of God, this Muhammad Walji has gone on to Gorak Danda. I wish you would just switch it on and listen to Gorak Danda Qawwali for a change, instead of writing these silly things down. You know, Nusrat Fateh Khan, when I was in Iran, was performing Ali Mola Qawwali in Iran to a live audience in the time of immediately a year after the death of Sayyid al-Khomeini, in the time when Sayyid Khamenei had just recently become the Wali of Faqih, I mean in the first years of his. And Sayyid al-Khui also says that music coming out of the Republic of Iran, it was one of his fatwa, is not haram. Now I've written an article on ghina, on the words, modulation of sounds and musiki. And I've stated that there is no status for ghina in Sharia. So I've looked at Sayyid Khui's Maqasid, who is commenting on Sheikh Ansari's Maqasid. And I've commented on, given Sayyid al-Khui's views, Sheikh Ansari's, the way Khui works on Ansari's views, and then I've done a huge critique of Sayyid al-Khui, and then given the whole understanding of the existential framework and how we resolve the issue of ghina. So I don't consider qawwalis and things like that haram. I do consider them haram due to accidental reasons of profanities and social circumstances, but not ghina per se. Yes? Or only a few aspects of ghina. But ghina is without a Sharia hukam. So that article is there and we can send it. But if anybody wants to know, Sayyid Khomeini, Sayyid Khui, I think Sayyid Khui especially allowed it, Sheikh Muntaziri allowed it, and therefore it was played, music was played and qawwalis were played on Iranian national radio and television. And Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, who sings this Gorak Danda, it's a very mystical poetry, it's beautiful. He himself performed live in Iran. Yeah, you can check it out.
Right, right. Well, it just leaves us to thank you, Sheikh. We managed to get through all the transcriptions, and I think we can say that we beat the beast from the east, because at the end of the day, we're meeting.
Thank you so much.
But we thank you very much. It was very clear explanations as well. You managed to get through all of them in the time you had, mashallah. So alhamdulillah, that was very good.
Allah be praised. Allah be praised. Please, can I extend an invitation to come over, visit us, let's have lunch together or dinner, or a separate note to this. And we can, it won't even be on the Facebook. Trust me. so those guys don't get on your case and send clips of you out. Just kidding. Please come. It will be such an honor to receive you. Such an honor.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have made all the plans today. Have no option whatever to come to Al-Mattitude. As you know, I myself have been there.
Yes.
And there's no problem about it whatsoever.
Have you received
inshallah next time.
Have you received invitation for Sunday to attend the SSF?
Yes. Alhamdulillah.
Please try to come. And
yes.
Sheikh Al-Adina, are you here or are you going?
I'm leaving inshallah tomorrow, but maybe on the next trip we can coordinate and
so can I invite you for the first week of July? We have Fiqh workshop and very prominent people are attending on the Ijtihad and Taqleed, past, present and future. I'll give my own paper on the whole notion of Taqleef and Ijtihad, how they are connected with each other, and collective Ijtihad. It would be wonderful to have you both. We'll get invites sent off, yes? But please, if you can.
Right, yeah, inshallah, yeah. And next time we'll try and coordinate earlier so that we can, spend proper time together.
Inshallah.
But mashallah, you're so busy as well, and alhamdulillah, at least we managed to connect this time. But I think face-to-face, a more detailed meeting would be excellent.
So, can you come on Sunday?
Sunday, I won't be able to come this Sunday, no.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I won't be able to. But alhamdulillah, inshallah, I'll try my best to come on one of these times and
ask Sheikh Abbas if he can come. It'll be an honor to receive him. Yes. You'll be our brother.
Sure.
Please. And we'll send him an invite nonetheless. But please do ask him personally. I'm asking if he can come.
Sure. This weekend, I just want to catch up on so many things. Last weekend, the whole weekend was taken with the Exco.
Yes.
So, need to do some things, yeah. But inshallah, and also yourself, I don't know, whenever you're in London, I'm usually in the Landlord office on Thursdays. But even if I'm not there, we can arrange something. We can arrange to meet. Whenever you're in London, that'd be great as well.
I'll be honored. When I'm passing there next time, I'll if it's not too much of an inconvenience, I'll drop you a line and inshallah we can get together.
Absolutely, yeah. Inshallah, we'll keep in touch.
Allah be with you, my dear brothers. Yeah. Pray for me. And Sheikh Al-Adina, please keep in touch. Please. Text. Take care, my dear brothers.
Take care. Thank you. Asanto.